Thank you all for being here today. I'm very pleased to be here to introduce Dave Gettleman as the new general manager of the New York Giants. Dave is obviously someone who is very well known to us. As you know, he spent 15 years here in our pro personnel department, and during that period, he made quite an impression on all of us. I've said before that his knowledge of the personnel in the National Football League is second to none. I think he has excellent evaluation skills. He's a great communicator. He's got strong leadership qualities, and most importantly, he's a man of integrity. Dave's been with 4 different NFL organizations. He's had a lot of success with each one of them, and he's had some great mentors throughout his career. Given the state of our team at the moment, and with all the difficult and important decisions that we have facing us, we believed it was important to bring in somebody who had experience as a general manager, somebody with a proven track record. We followed very closely what Dave did in Carolina, and after conducting these interviews and doing our research, and after much discussion, the 3 of us, myself, Steve Tisch, and Ernie Accorsi, had a conviction that Dave was the right man for the job. I want to acknowledge and thank Ernie for his help and guidance throughout this process. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce the new general manager of the New York Giants, Dave Gettleman.
Good morning. Happy holidays to everybody. I hope Santa made a visit, or you got Hanukkah visit, whichever one that was, and wish you all a wonderful New Year. To begin with, I'd like to thank the Mara family, the Tisch family, Ernie, for helping me attain the position that up until now I'd only dreamed about. As most of you know, I'm from Boston. I'm a bit older, which some of you have made a point of writing and hurt my feelings, but be that as it may. When I was growing up in the 50s and really became enamored with the NFL, in Boston, you got to remember the Patriots weren't even a thought yet. And so sitting and watching those, 10-inch black and whites, I watched the New York Football Giants, and the Cleveland Browns were the other team that we got. To be standing here today as the general manager of the New York Football Giants is a moment that does not escape me. And as a family, we feel truly blessed. Certainly, I, obviously want to thank my family, Joanne, Aaron, and Melissa, who are here right now, Sam and Anna, for all their support. And without them, I certainly wouldn't be standing here. And like I said, I truly feel blessed by the Lord. In terms of building a team, my philosophy, I have this saying that I learned from, you're going to look at me like I'm nuts, all in the family, Archie Bunker. Every man is my equal in that I may learn from him. And I've thought about that since the 60s when I first heard it. I've been with 4 different organizations, folks, and I've learned from one heck of a cast of NFL people. Bill Polian, Marv Levy, Bob Ferguson, Mike Shanahan, Ernie Accorsi, Jerry Reese. And if you take those names and look at all the Super Bowls they've been to and then the ones that they've won, I certainly have had a heck of a group of teachers. In terms of my managerial style, I believe in communication, I believe in collaboration, I believe in brutal honesty. There's a management concept that says you're not going to get to the right answer unless you ask the right question. We will do that. It will be done. I truly believe in collaboration. The more minds you can wrap around an issue and work at it, the better your answer is going to be. And that's something I believe in strongly. You can't, I think the biggest mistake general managers make is when they close their doors and just decide things on their own. So I believe in that. I believe in communication. Everybody will know where they stand with me. Everybody will know, what I expect, and we'll be moving forward. And I'm going to invoke an old tuna saying, don't talk about the pain, just show me the baby. So that's the way it's going to operate. In terms of team building, I'm old-fashioned. Offense scores points, defense wins championships. There's been 6 matchups, I believe, in the Super Bowl of number 1 offenses versus number 1 defenses, and the defenses have won 5 of the 6. So I truly believe in that. I'm going to say this right now, style of offense has changed. Obviously, there's that college influence. So so obviously, the style of defense has changed to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, it's the same three things you've had to do in 35 that you got to do now in 2018. You got to run the ball, you got to stop the run, you got to pressure the passer. Everywhere I've been, and with the great teams that I've been associated with, those were three very big staples. Another philosophy about team building, Tom said it to me, Tom Coughlin said it to me, my first year, his first year he came in here, he said, big men allow you to compete. And that's really just so true. The O-line and the D-line, I believe in the hog mollies. We've had some great groups here, had great groups everywhere I've been, and we're going to get back to that. They do allow you to compete. In terms of building the entire roster, you're going to use every avenue. You're going to build through the draft. You're going to use trades, waiver wire, transitions, workout, fumble, excuse me. You're going to use every avenue necessary. It's just the way of the world. Building quality depth is critical. Everybody plays today. Everybody. You get your first cut down to 53. You got 63 guys on that field. I promise you, all 63 are going to have a varsity suit before the season's over, unless you are stupid lucky. So you've got to build quality depth. It's critical. And I'm almost done. Excuse me. All right. And the other thing that's really important is culture. Football is the ultimate team game. You throw 11 guys out there on offense, one guy makes a mistake, you're 2nd and 15. You throw 11 guys out there on defense, one guy makes a mistake, the official's doing this. It's the ultimate team game. Culture is critical. These guys have to know when they step on the field that the guy right, the guy left, the guy behind, the guy in front's got their back. And we're going to build that kind of a culture. In 15, one of the greatest things I've ever had a player say to me, we had traded for Jared Allen. And I think it was second week in October, we traded for Jared. And by this time, Jared's been around about 12, 13 years. And after 2 weeks, he came up to me, he said, Dave, he said, I've been in this league a long time. I have never been in a locker room like this. He said, it's a pleasure to come to work. Everybody's in this together. And, I've never seen this before. And the proof was in the pudding. That team won a lot of games. So culture's critical. Finally, guys, I've been hired to win. And the only promise I can make is I'm going to do everything in my power to lead this organization back to where it belongs. That's my goal. That's my intention. It's going to get done. Questions?
Fire away.
Okay.
Obviously, there's the whole Eli Manning question. It's something, the decision that people think will have to be made. He got put on the bench at some point. What is your relationship with him, and how do you sort of view handling that going forward?
Well, Eli's one. There's only 3 guys on this team that were here when I left. It's Eli, JPP, and Zach Diossi. And I know a couple other guys, that are here now. One of them, Robert Thomas. But in regards to Eli, the bottom line is, I'm sorry, what was your name? Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan, the bottom line is, I'm an inveterate film watcher. That's what I do. Okay, I haven't had access to tape, and I'm not avoiding the question, but obviously, you got to look at the film, you got to see what's cooking, and listen, Eli's won a lot of games, and he's a great competitor. He's very intelligent, and I have, he and I are going to talk, and if what I saw in Philadelphia was not a mirage, and I don't believe it was, then we'll just keep moving.
Dave,
I'm sorry? Okay. Oh, hey, Mike, how you doing? Good.
you in Carolina, the results on the field were pretty good. I mean, you made a Super Bowl, and then they moved on from you at the end there. So if you want to explain a little bit what happened there, I don't think you've talked since then. Even if you don't, what did you learn as far as the general manager's job going just beyond spotting the talent?
That's a fair question. As far as what happened there, give Mr. Richardson a call, okay? As far as what I learned there, okay, number one, I learned about how critical culture was, Mike. I learned that. I learned that winning in the NFL on Sunday is hard. I don't care how good you are, it's hard. And like I said before, it's the ultimate team game, so I learned how critical the locker room is, the locker room culture. So I learned that. I had things that were reinforced to me about, like I said before in my opener, rushing the passer, stopping the run, running the ball. I learned some of those things. And another thing I learned, it is critical that the makeup of your coaching staff is you have quality teachers as well as quality tacticians, all right? The player that we're getting from college, when I first got in the league 30 years ago, basically when you drafted a player, you were just taking a little polish and rubbing them up, and getting them good. Now, it's different now. Those college rules are very different in terms of we're not getting as polished a player. We're getting younger players. I mean, in Carolina, drafted two guys that, were 20 years old. So you're getting that. And, as a general manager, I learned that, I'm walking a tightrope, Mike. I'm walking a tightrope. I got ownership right here that wants to have a sustainability, wants to obviously win games, and my responsibility is for sustainable success. And on the other hand, I got coaches that their butts are on the line every Sunday. They got to win. So you've got to walk that fine line with both groups, and you have to understand that, the coaching staff needs to be teachers. They need to be sound tacticians. They have to know how to develop players. When we were in Carolina, we had practice squad guys taking reps with the ones. I banged on Ron all the time because those practice squad guys are going to play now. They're going to be on your varsity. It's only a matter of time. It's only, that old saying, you're only one breath away from going from backup to starter. You're only one hit away from being a practice squad guy to being on the 46. So I learned that. The other thing I really learned, it's my responsibility to protect this franchise. That's my job. And there's a variety of ways that I have to protect it, Mike. And I learned down in Carolina, that's my job. I'm fine. I have no issue doing it. I'll make the tough decisions, and I'll stand by them. And we'll see what happens.
I guess as a follow-up, did you learn as far as dealing with agents or players that maybe you didn't have to do as a personnel guy? Did you learn anything in that regard? And is there any lessons you take carrying forward with you here?
Yeah.
Look, they're always looking for contracts, money, or whatever they're looking for.
It's really kind of interesting. You talk to players when it's funny. Players first come into your building, as young kids, and you talk to them about becoming a pro, and you've got a finite career, and you talk about those things, and they develop, and then all of a sudden they're ready to hit their, they want the big contract, and they throw it right back in your face. Well, Dave, I got a finite career, Jack. I got to make it now. So you get that. Listen. At the end of the day, that's something I gotta do. You gotta manage a cap, but really and truly, Mike, before that, and it's what players don't want to hear. They don't want to hear the value you put on them, because it hurts their feelings. Okay, they're sad. This is a big boy league. You got to put your big boy pants on now. Nobody feels sorry for you. Nobody cares about your injuries. Nobody cares, what you make, what you don't make. So I've learned that, you have to be consistent. You got to be fair. And if the player's upset, so be it. So be it.
Recognizing and respecting the fact that you weren't here, I imagine during the interview process, it might have come up, your feeling on why this team is 2-13?
You know, it's a really hard question to answer, because think about it this way, okay? Let's just think about it this way. You know, you guys cover the Giants, you cover the league. Steve, you're looking at all the teams, okay? So somebody does something and you're doing, what? You know, you're giving it one of those. The fact of the matter is, teams make decisions based on the information they have at hand at that time. Shame on me to open up my big mouth when I don't have all the information. When I don't have all the information. In time, I will, and then I might be able to share my opinion. But if you don't have all the information, if you weren't in the room, don't feel the emotion of what's going on, don't understand what's really going on, it is not fair of me to make any judgments or share or have any opinion on it.
You have a head coaching vacancy.
Yes.
I'll ask you for your short list of candidates, and you'll say no, and then I'll ask you what kind of qualities are you looking for in it?
Well, you know, I really believe that the head coaching job's a CEO position. It really is. You know, you look at the great head coaches, and I'll tell you right now, you know, there ain't a dumb one in the group. There's not a dumb one in the group. They're all leaders. They all know how to lead men. And, you know, that's what you need. You need intelligence, you need leadership, and because on the assumption that you hire an intelligent guy, you're going to have a guy with vision. So those are critical components you're looking for. You know, I mean, there's a million pieces to it, because it is, you know, you think about a head coach and you think of all the things he's got to juggle. I mean, there's a ton of stuff going on. Sometimes, you know, I'm sure that they all, you know, once a week probably say, gosh, I wish I could be the offensive coordinator, or whatever it is, just pick the position he loves to coach. Man, I just love to get with my linebackers just for a week. You know, it's a load. It's a load, and you got to be able to handle that load. So.
I've been with the AP. Since I'm a little older, like some other people, I mean, is this a caretaker position you're taking, or are you looking 10 years down the road? What's your plan?
Tom, my plan is to come in here every day and kick ass. That's my plan, okay? And I'm going to keep doing it until they either take my key card or the Lord calls me home.
Do you have a sequence of what jobs you want to do starting right now?
Well, you know, Dave, you know, John and I are going to sit down and talk this afternoon. You know, I'm not, don't cry violin. I drove 10 hours last night and got up here at 10 o'clock at night, and let me tell you something, 14 degrees. I mean, I only came from 34, so it wasn't like a big, huge, but, you know, it was a little breezy when I got my fanny out of the car. But the bottom line is, you know, there's a whole laundry list of things, Dave. Have I prioritized them? Not yet. But, you know, obviously there's things to do.
Dave, to get back to Eli, you referenced the Philly game. Did you get that tape, or is that just what you saw on TV?
No, I actually, you know, I didn't get the tape. That was one of the few games I was able to see the start to finish.
But just to clarify, as of now, you intend to move forward with him as the starting quarterback next year?
Well, as of now, yeah. I mean,
Number 2 pick, potentially, in the draft.
well, you know, and I'll address that right now. Let me tell you something. I don't care what position it is. You can never have too many great players at one position. I mean, you think about us, I mean, we got Strahan and gosh, who was the other guy? And OC, and we're drafting Tuck, and we're drafting Kiwanuka, and people are looking at us like we have brain damage. You know, you can never have too many great players at one position. So, you know, I'll get into that much, much later, but, you know, let's see where we end up and which pick we have, and we'll go from there.
You talked about culture, and you talked about contract negotiations. You talked about the culture and the contract negotiations. A lot of that sort of comes to a head with one guy you have on this team, Odell Beckham, who has been a good teammate by all accounts, creates a lot of headlines, wants a lot of money, is a great talent. I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are on him and his long-term future.
Well, number one, who doesn't want a lot of money? Anybody in here not want a lot of money? Everybody wants a lot of money, guys, okay? I mean, obviously, I don't know Odell. I never met him. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, he's an extremely talented kid and makes stuff happen. And, we'll have that, what's that song, Getting to Know You, we'll do that, and we'll get to know each other, and we'll go from there. I mean, he's rehabbing an injury. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to Ronnie about how far along he is, but, so we'll see.
Dave, does the fact that game that Odell had with Josh Norman a few years ago, I assume you were here for that, does that give you a different perspective somewhat, that you sat there and watched him pretty much melt down for 3 hours against your team?
It's really funny. I'm going to give you an analogy, Gary, okay? When you look at players, obviously you see things on film, okay? You see things on tape. So, for example, I'm going to talk about a, defensive back. So people will say he can't cover man, okay? So I look at him and said, okay, tell me why. Don't just make a blanket statement and tell me why. I want to know why. I want you to break it down. Well, as far as, I have no idea what was going on in Odell's head in that game. I have no idea why all that happened. So I would want to sit down with Odell and say, why? So, the bottom line is, shame on me if I have any preconceived notions about guys as people. Because there's no way in God's green earth I don't know these guys. Shame on me if I do. Everybody's going to get a fair shake, believe it.
You already have a young quarterback in the building right now, and one game to go here. The plan is for Eli to play, and it sounds like play the whole game. As the new GM, would you like to see the young quarterback play to get some sort of idea of who he is in a game, or does that not matter to you?
It's Friday. Okay, we're playing Sunday. I don't mean to be a smartass. It's Friday. We play the game on Sunday. What these guys decided, they decided. Okay? It is what it is. It is what it is.
Dan Duggan, you're probably familiar with most of the people in this front office. Do you feel like changes are needed, or are you content to just kind of have it be status quo?
Well, it's one of those deals, I'm in a different situation than I was in when I got to Carolina. When I got to Carolina, I knew a couple of scouts a little bit. I knew nobody, okay? Let me back up, cheese and crackers. My first year in the league, I'm working for the Bills, all right? And I hope you're laughing with me, not at me. I'm working for the Bills, and I'm an intern. And Hank Buller was the head coach. It was '86, I believe. And mid-season, Hank gets fired. Marv comes in. Marv Levy, okay? Marv comes in. And at the end of the season, he let the entire staff go, all right? And that's his prerogative. That's absolutely his prerogative. There were 3 really good coaches on that staff. 3 quality teachers, guys, fundamentalists, guys that could really flat coach. And he didn't even talk to him about staying. So the point I'm trying to make is I promised that if I was ever the king, that everybody would get an opportunity, okay? Again, I haven't been here for 5 years, guys. People change. I'm not the same guy I was 5 years ago, and my wife is very thankful for that, by the way. And, people change. So let me get in here, let me get to work, let me talk, let me find out what's cooking, and then we'll eventually, we'll make decisions as we go.
Jim Jones, NFL Network. Giants fans, at least the vocal ones, are furious for many reasons about this season. How quickly can you turn it around?
Furious about me.
That's the next question.
That's the next question. I'm sorry, Kim.
How quickly can you turn this around?
One of the things, first of all, you can't make promises, right, Kim? Number one, there's some really good players on this roster, It's funny, when I was in Carolina, Kim, I'm a first-time GM, I had no idea, first 3 weeks were a blur. So finally, Friday of my third week, I get my clicker in my hand, I'm having DTs. And I get the clicker in my hand, and I watched film for 2 weeks, my eyes were bleeding, all right? They finished the season, fairly strong, and in my estimation, it wasn't fool's gold, okay? So I have to look at this team, look at the players on this team, with that same eye. I've got to figure it out. We've got to all sit down together, personnel department, and figure it out. And I know from watching, there are some quality players on this roster. We're going to have to, we got to get, we got to fix the O-line, let's be honest. Let's not kid each other. Let me finish, Kim, I'm sorry. So, I told you at the top, big men allow you to compete, and that's what we got to fix.
I want to go back to Odell for a second, because in 2014, I believe, after that draft, you said he was the only legitimate receiver in that draft who could run the entire route tree. So you obviously held him in high regard a few years back.
Absolutely.
And then in that Carolina game with Josh Norman, as you know, he was the reason the Giants actually had a chance to win that game, that everything else aside. Does it only make sense to you for him to be part of the solution here?
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Ernie taught me something a long time ago, don't quit on talent. Don't quit on talent. And it's a matter of 2 years ago, or last year, it was last year, we were just decimated on the O-line down in Carolina. So we ended up signing Ryan Wendell, who had played for the Patriots for 7 years. So the baggy day, we don't make the playoffs, so baggy day, I grabbed Ryan. I said, Ryan, when you out of here? And, he's a West Coast guy. And he said to me, Dave, he said, I'm here until tomorrow afternoon. I said, would you mind having lunch with me tomorrow? So Ryan came in. And I said, Ryan, listen, I'm not interested in inside gossip, backstories. I really don't care. But I want you to talk to me about the process there. Okay? And he looked at me and he said, Dave, at the end of the season last year, we beat the Chargers and we beat Washington in that Monday night game up there, down there. Yeah, I got to reorient myself geographically, down there. And Ryan said, Dave, those were New England Patriot weeks. That's what it looked like, okay? And I said, okay, so tell me the steps. He said, the one thing that we all know from the moment we walk in the door is we are expected to be pros today. There's two kinds of players in this league, folks. There are guys that play professional football, and there are professional football players. And the professional football players are the guys we want. I don't want guys that want to win. I want guys that hate to lose. That's the professional football player. That's what you want. So it's important.
We'll take a couple more.
Dave, have you had any communication with your predecessor, Jerry Reese, and in what ways do your philosophies overlap, and in what ways are they different?
Well, again, I've been gone for 5 years. Jerry, very classy guy, and he's a dear friend, and I hated what happened, and he sent me a text yesterday that was just really special. But we're different people, maybe you couldn't get much more different than. So, listen, we taught each other. We worked together for a long time. We learned from each other. I learned from him just as much as he learned from me. And I enjoyed working under him under him as my boss, my GM,
Excuse me, just a second. What do you mean when you say we're more different than you could ever? Could you elaborate on that? Just
we're just different people. I mean, you say potato, I say potato. Jerry's as honorable and as ethical as anybody. Don't go there. Come on now. But no, it's just a good man. He's a good man. Yes, Dave.
You told a story a little while ago about Marv Levy at the end of his first season getting rid of the entire staff.
Yeah.
Would you plan to give your head coach that kind of authority?
It's through conversation. I mean, who knows? Dave, I mean, that's part of the process. There are good coaches on this staff, I'm telling you right now. And, I certainly would encourage whoever becomes the next head coach to talk to these guys. Absolutely. When I was, philosophically, I wouldn't, force a coach on a coach. I wouldn't force a player on a coach, because it doesn't work out.
What do you look for in a coach? What are you looking for? What qualities and characteristics?
I think I don't mean to be a wise guy, Jordan, they asked it earlier, I'm looking for intelligence, I'm looking for vision, I'm looking for leadership.
Is it going to be to rebuild this offensive line, given the challenges and the restraints now, and the fact that you don't have a lot of guys under contract?
Well, again, you can't put a time frame on anything. You really can't. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you I'm going to fix it in 2 years, because then John's going to run me out of the building, okay? No, the bottom line is, you go to work. You go to work. It's that simple. You have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea who's going to be available. People get cut all the time, and you're saying, whoa, The bottom line is, there are people available on the street that, the bad habit that people have is, well, what's wrong with them? Wait a minute. Don't look at the negative. What's right with him? Can he help us? Now let's see if we can find out why he got dumped. But no, you can't put timetable. We're going to work our fannies off, and we're going to get it fixed.